Welcome back everyone to another video on how to do a cost of supply study. This video is going to focus on the end user tariff inputs in year one. And the basic premise of this sheet is that the municipality inputs all of their tariffs that they charge their customers to purchase electricity from the municipality. And we're going to spend a bit of time on this one because it's very important. The cost of supply tool takes the forecasted sales as well as the end user tariffs and multiplies those together to predict what the revenue requirement will be in year two, the year that we're designing tariffs for. So this step is quite important. If we scroll through it, you'll recognize all of these customer groups here are the same as on the index tables, and they also match the deform market tab. All of these customer categories are the same. And what in theory one would do is for the domestic prepaid customers, you'd put in the tariffs that apply to them for the high season, and then further down here for the low season. There is one potential shortfall here, and that's that many municipalities don't use the same customer categories as the deform when they design their tariffs. As an example here, this municipality has domestic prepaid indigent, domestic prepaid 20 amps, and domestic prepaid greater than 20 amps. So that means that for them to put the tariffs in here, they have to select one of their domestic prepaid tariffs and put it in. The alternative is in the index tables is to make the customer categories here match your tariff book. But that does come with its own problems, because once you change these, they don't line up nice and easily with the deforms anymore. And you could potentially find that you have to make some other changes as well. So what we often recommend to municipalities is that you keep the customer categories as they are, and you choose the tariff that applies to most of the customers in that category. So as an example, with domestic prepaid, we go back to this tariff book over here. You would say that the domestic prepaid indigent customers, that would most likely be FBE customers. So down at the bottom at FBE, you'd put in that tariff over there. You would say it's 216 cents per kilowatt hour. Then the domestic prepaid customers, let's say most of them fall into this category here. They have a connection that's bigger than 20 amps. Then that's the tariff that we use up here for domestic prepaid. So it's not a perfect science, but it gets you close enough. So that's something to be aware of. So in this example here, you can see this domestic prepaid customer has a basic charge, an amp charge, and an energy charge. If you look over here, there currently isn't an amp charge. So you can choose to put that in by going to the index tables and going down. And you could say in here, amp charge. The next thing you need to look at, if we look at that tariff book, is what is the unit? And you can see it's Rand per amp per month. And if we look here, you can see there isn't really there isn't that option that appears there, Rand per amp per month. But we know that it's a 20 amp, and then we know that it's per month. So what you could do is you could take that 6.6 Rand and 72 cents, multiply it by 20, and then put that in as a monthly charge. Okay, so now we'll look at another example here. For domestic conventional customers, you can see this municipality has two different tariffs for domestic conventional. Again, we can select the one that has the most customers. So say most of the customers that are on the domestic conventional tariff are a three-phase connection, then we use this one over here. Just delete that for now. So if we go down to the end user tariffs, we would then go to domestic conventional. We would say that the basic charge is 832 Rand a month. So I go here to basic charge. I go 832. And then let's check the energy charge is 291.48 cents per kilowatt hour. 291.48. It's important to remember that this is in cents per kilowatt hour. So if you say 2 Rand, then it's going to throw the study out a little bit. Another common issue that we have is municipalities that use inclining block tariffs. Like in this example here, you can see they have 4 different tariff blocks. The cost of supply tool doesn't cater for inclining block tariffs, and it's been a general trend to move away from inclining block tariffs because they don't send the right price signals to customers, and they also don't allow the municipality to fully recover the costs. So if you have, say, for your domestic conventional customers, an inclining block tariff, we tend to recommend that you use block 2, the price of electricity for block 2, because most customers will use at least, say, 50 kilowatt hours, but they might not get above 350, or they won't consume too much electricity in the higher ranges, but the bulk of their electricity will be consumed in this block 2 over here. So in this case, you would put in the 228 cents per kilowatt hour. So those are a couple of examples that you might come across in domestic customers. Then as you go down, if you say don't have mining and quarrying customer category, then you can just leave this out. You can leave it blank. For industrial and manufacturing, you often find that they have time of use. As a reminder, if you need to change that, you can go to the index tables and you go up to the category that you want to change. So let's say manufacturing and industrial. You can say if they do have time of use or not. So in this case, they do, so you're going to leave that as true. Maybe your commercial customers also have time of use, so you change that to true, and then that allows you to input their time of use tariffs. You then can put in the demand charge, the basic charge, and any other charges that would be applicable. So if we look here, you can see most industrial tariffs will have a demand charge, they'll have an energy charge, they'll often have a fixed charge, and you can see sometimes they'll have network capacity charge. And you can make all of those changes down in the index table over here. So once you've completed this, as I mentioned at the beginning, just remember to go down and do it for the low season as well, to scroll down to row 174 and repeat the process. If you don't have seasonal tariffs, which many municipalities won't have, especially for domestic customers, then you just copy the high season tariffs into the low season tariffs. So you just repeat what you filled in up at the top. Once you've gone through that, make sure that everything's correct, and then you can move on to the next step.